3rd of September, the day I remember, yeah. It was the day my daddy died. Never got a chance to meet him. Never heard nothing but bad things. Mama, I'm depending on you to tell me the truth. Then she said somebody was a rolling stone. Yeah, his hand was his home. When he died, he left us alone. I was a rolling stone. When he laid his hand was his home. When he died, he left us alone. Never got a chance to meet him. Never had another thing. Mama, I'm depending on you. Tell me the truth. She hung her head. She said so. She hung her head. I was a rolling stone. Yeah, his hand was his home.
It's college night. You know what that means? Well, not quite, but getting close. It means Real Deal Media Live is back as we paint the night with color. Couldn't have said it more eloquent myself. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to a wonderful, blistering Thursday as college night is once again here. I am your college frat master here, Dean Ryan, as wow, it's been a while. It feels like I haven't done this particular show in so long, hasn't it? Hasn't it? Well, tonight we're going to paint the color with night and the night with color. And then we're going to measure our dyslexia and see what that tells us. But tonight is open lines. We're going to put the call feature on. If you need me, just call, like that old song says. But we're going to look at some headlines from around the world, some weird stories. We might have a surprise guest or two. And just filled with surprises. And it's just so good to be back on air. And how wonderful was last night's show. If you missed it, World at War, it was just, it felt kind of like riding a bike in a way. You know, it just felt very familiar. But so it's good to be back on that front. Also tonight, we have a preview. We have a preview of my outing in Pasadena and Altadena with Monsieur Frankie Elliott, who was giving me a tour of the aftermath of all the fires in LA. And it was pretty stunning and shocking, the stories that I heard and what I managed to capture on film. So we have a little preview of that. The full feature of that will be this coming Saturday. I can tell you, I will be coming back Saturday night for the weekend update. Yes, I'll be doing that. And if I don't do that, then you'll see me Sunday morning. And I like to keep people guessing because if you keep people guessing, you keep the algorithms guessing. And that's what life's all about. Okay, we also have major announcement in the world of politics. Yes, somebody's retiring. And a lot of people are saying, we thought she's dead. What happened? So we'll be talking about the surprise retiree. Just amazing. And we'll see how the world is managing to get by now after the death and the news of the death of Dick Cheney. We'll see. We'll take a consensus on that. Plus some other things that are pretty pressing. And I'm going to share with you regarding what I believe is one of the most dangerous times right now, as there are certain officials from a certain administration that are hiding in certain bunkers for certain reasons, and will add some certainty to the uncertain on that. Also, we have Elon Musk, who's in the news a little bit. And, I talked about the guy for like 2 years straight, and I was kind of like enjoying life without having to venture down that alleyway again. So we'll see what he's up to, as he's now the richest man in the world, for an actor, I guess. So we'll see what that's all about. And we'll continue to explore the claim of the end of MAGA. Or is it? And whose MAGA is it anyways? You see, we'll have that debate, or I'll have that debate with myself. So we'll see how that goes. And some Kanye West news in the second half. Okay, we are broadcasting live on The Real Dean Ryan over there on Facebook. Hello, everybody, if you can see me. Yes, it's just good to be seen. Also, we're on Dean Ryan TV over there on Rumble, or excuse me, on YouTube, and we're on Real Deal Media over there on Rumble. Let me, public service announcement. If you are on Rumble, make sure you're still, I hate doing these things, but I know I have to. Make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. We have reports of longtime viewers, once again, who are being unsubbed from our Rumble channel. Makes you wonder. You're at 2.7K for over 2 years. Just makes you wonder. Well, now we know. And they're doing the same thing on YouTube. So if you make sure that, as cliched as it is, to follow wherever that button is, and the bell buttons to get all the notifications, because we are the most suppressed network, I believe, out there today. And it's mind-boggling how that is. But I have to start being more of that guy to remind people. Anyways, to beat the censors. So let's get started with a few things. And how about some headlines from around the world? Just a few headlines, shall we? And we'll discuss in a greater in-depth fashion. Let's get there. Here we go. Well, there's a little destination a little up the road from the habitations we used to know. Well, one of those habitats is going to be having a new habitual practice. Yeah, that's right, at the glue factory, as now Nancy Pelosi, yes, the indentured servant, is now making a huge announcement that she's retiring. Well, she's put in a lot of hard work, and finally, at 86 years of age, she decided to hang it up and live out her golden years, as they say. Well, now Nancy Pelosi will not be around for the next election, or maybe just around that time, as she now will not seek re-election, and is now going to be going home, or to the home for that fact. But yeah, she will not be seeking re-election. And her voter base, most of them dead, they said, finally, we're tired of voting. We died 100 years ago. When I was speaking recently, this is coming out of the AP, the most interested name in news. Now, yes, she's not going to be running again. No more campaigns, no more J6, no more dress ups, no more garter belts. No, she's not. She's going to bring her she's going to close her storied line career as the first woman in the Speaker's office and one of the most powerful American politicians in the history of politics. Well, Pelosi, who has now represented San Francisco for nearly 40 years, announced her decision today. She said she will not be seeking a re-election to Congress anytime in the near future, or anytime down the road, down the road in Frisco, because, Frisco is ever so changing. A lot of them people are eating each other in that case, Democrats on Democrats. Well, here's a quote from Nancy herself. She says, quote, "My message to the city I love is this: San Francisco, know your power. We have made history. We have made progress. We have always led that way. Just watch where you step when you go outside." She further went on to say, well, and we must continue to do so by remaining full participants in democracy and fighting for the American ideals we hold dear. Yeah, okay, so anyways, So she's 85 years old. 85 years old, remains in political power. Now, she was majorly responsible now for the big win of the redistricting efforts by Newsom for Prop 50. She was a big proponent of that, her and her, uh, well, not niece, but nephew. And the shutdown is still going on. So we'll see what that is. And I love how Barack Obama weighed in on Pelosi's retirement, one of the best speakers in the House of Representatives. So yeah, the long-legged Mac Daddy came out of the shadows, and yeah, so she's a goner. You know, a lot of people said that there should be terms limits. You know, we have some of the most elderly indentured servants, and she's a perfect example of why there should be. Many have said. What do you think out there? Is that ageism? Is that disgraceful? Is that distasteful? Well, it's a good question. Here is something else that's now pressing. Well, as we're speaking about this, yeah, this is very interesting. Now, there's a medical emergency with Donald Trump. Yes, just when you thought the blueberry hands were just in the Mitch McConnell, the favorite turtle of America's, well, paws, well, it might be in Donald's as well. Well, they're now saying a dramatic moment has now took place, not just with Donald Trump, but during a press conference earlier today, as the pharmaceutical company, not Expedia, but Ozempic, yes, they were doing a press conference with Bobby there. And one of their execs fell down and collapsed. Did you see this? It is quite the scene. Here's a little sample of what I'm talking about. And when you see this, watch what RFK Jr. does, almost in a tactical move where he just gets out of dodge, gets out of harm's way. And here it is right here, as I'm still learning the new system, as you can see. It goes to show that bad karma is instant, quick, and unforgiving. In a dramatic moment. Here's the collapse.
Yeah.
Press, we're going. Thank you, press. Press, right, guys. Cameras, we're done with cameras.
Medicare and Medicaid will finally cover the cost of these weight loss drugs for millions of patients suffering from obesity. Copays for Medicare patients will be as low as $50. This is tremendous savings. I mean, now you're talking about from $1,350 to $50. This is tremendous news for the American seniors. And you all remember when I had 1/8 of 1% for the year. I got it 1/8, and I was so thrilled. But now we're cutting it 1,000%, 1,200%. Nobody's ever seen anything like this. Nobody else could have done it, but I say that modestly.
For nearly 150 years, my company, Eli Lilly, has been investing in America. We've been advancing science and creating high-value jobs. But today, are you okay? Gordon, you okay? Yeah.
Press, we're going. Thank you, press. Press, right, guys. Cameras, we're done with.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Did everybody see that? It just goes to show how bored the tears that guy was. But that's the Ozempic people, if you can believe it. The Ozempic people. And they're now they got their dream. They're now on the Medicare, Medicaid system. But sticking with the Trump cabinet here, I want to show you this. This came across my desk just late last night, and I think it's worth kind of pondering of what this could truly mean. Well, you might have noticed the uptick in military aircraft the past couple of weeks. Certainly, I've heard them here in the good old Orange County. A lot of people in San Diego have heard them as well. We know something's happening. Is something more than just what seems to be taking place in Venezuela and the ramping up of war? Is it part of the worldwide military drill that we told you about that's underway called ZIL? How a lot of this is the big nuke scare that we shared with you was going to be taking place, followed by the alien introduction. You know what I'm saying? Well, now we're learning that the Trump officials from Megaseth to Tulsi to even that little secretary that could, Marco, they seem to be in their little bunkers. For what reason? Well, we'll find out after. And take a look at this. I think it's worth mentioning and discussing of what it is and what it really means. Here it is, as the Trump officials are now scattering for some reason.
Officials are now moving into military bases. Here's what we know. Multiple senior officials in the Trump administration have relocated to military bases in the Washington, D.C. area amid reported concerns for their personal safety, according to The Atlantic. Top Trump advisor Stephen Miller and his family recently moved into military housing after their neighbors in Arlington, Virginia protested their presence. The Millers have since listed their home for $3.75 million. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is residing in a government-owned residence in Joint Base Anacostia Bowling, a home typically used by the Coast Guard commander. A Department of Homeland Security spokesperson said Noem is, quote, paying fair market rent for the property. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth are both living on Fort McNair's General's Row near Buzzard Point. Rubio reportedly lives there alone, while his family remains in Florida. A Defense Department official said Hegseth pays around $4,655.70 per month for his residence. Army Secretary Daniel P. Driscoll has also moved into military housing at Joint Base Meyer-Henderson Hall, which he shares with Navy Secretary John Phelan. Phelan's Washington home was damaged in a fire earlier this year, according to congressional staff familiar with the matter. National Intelligence Director Tulsi Gabbard had also considered relocating to Fort McNair earlier in the year, though the plan did not move forward due to limited space, The Atlantic reported. While it is not uncommon for some defense and national security officials to reside in military housing, experts say it is unusual for so many senior civilian leaders to do so at the same time.
Wow. What a finish. What an ending there. So, what do you think it is out there? What do you think is it a retreat? Are they retreating? Are they hiding? Because I have a feeling, I think I know what it is. Let's see what people are saying out there. And we want to hear from you. And by the way, if you feel the need, feel the want, feel the urge to call in and join me as I celebrate my comeback tour, but don't call it that. You feel free to call in at that StreamYard link right there in your browser. So we have, if you took notice to that, we have the who's who of the Trump officials now in little bunkers. And can you imagine? And who's in the bunker with Kristi Noem? That's just somebody asked me that question. I didn't know the answer to it, but that's very interesting. Here's what I think it is. Well, what has always been very important to the power structure has been the narrative. And whether it's the Democrats, the CCP light, the Chinese, just whoever has the mantle of power, they need the narrative, they need the PR spin to win. And now we have a new mayor of New York City who has been dubbed the jihadi golden goose of a gift to the Muslim, the Islamic world. Well, I think it's quite the differ. I differ from that approach. I think this is exactly what this is exactly what Israel would want, because it would justify the oncoming attacks that are going to be happening to the United States. And just one of those attacks took place late last night in New York City, to be exact. A car that rammed past the protection gates in one of the main boroughs over there. It just blew up out of nowhere. And I think we're going to see more of those, just like we saw the ambush on firefighters in Idaho. And it's all going to be used to cause noise or confusion, but really there's a tactical practice that they want to blame this on who is Iran. Well, you couple that into what I shared with you just about 2 weeks ago, that we received word that the Customs and Borders Protection officials were giving a full escort of a bunch of different trucks that are loaded with what has been described as jihadists. They were getting free passageway into the country and sent to very strategic locations. Now, if you couple that again with what I've always shared with you about the true nature of the LA riots from 1992, all the fires were starting in unison. And all the fires that were starting in unison and all the damage and chaos was all being blamed on the blacks and the Latinos at that time. But they didn't start the fires, to use that line. It was the Muslim Brotherhood who was brought in here by the LAPD, who was given free passage in a entourage of protection to do the dirty deeds, the dirty bidding. And we're going to see that again. And what I shared with our members over the time I was away from the camera and all that, we received word, and this is coming straight from Interpol, that there is a specific somebody in the alternative media who's masquerading as a gonzo truth teller. Well, he's anything but. He's an arms dealer for the Mossad. And one of the hubs of this trafficking of arms and weaponry, one of the two of the hubs is in Los Angeles at a certain specific spot. And we have all that information. The second hub of this particular Shrek-looking like character is in Toronto, Canada. Now, you put all this together, so you have the officials who are now hiding in bunkers, Trump and all them. And by the way, I've yet to see Melania all year long. I've seen a woman with a hat and sunglasses that could be Melania, but we have to question that, since we've seen different Erica Kirks and different Donald Trumps, from the one Donald Trump who looks very just tanned and ethnic and straight out of the Southwest, to a Donald Trump I just saw last night. He had the nose of W.C. Fields. It makes you question reality, and we don't have to look too far back to just see how the skullduggery and fakery is truly right in front of us with the Biden administration. So now that Ben Shapiro has given his classified thoughts to an unclassified news publication called the Jerusalem Post, stating that the greatest threat to the existence of Israel is MAGA, is the so-called extreme right. That's why they're trying to take over and control the narrative of conservatives in the United States. And you add that to the greatest threat to Israel from the greatest perpetrator of anti-Semitism is Tucker Carlson, followed by Candace Owens and people like that. What I'm getting at is, when Israel is cornered, they have an act, a defensive move, and everyone has it. Like the Chinese have the Sinking Ark project, where they've scattered all their money. The CCP has scattered all their money all over the world. So if and when their people rise up against them, they can get on all their boats, the Ark, and get out of Dodge. Well, the Israelis are a little different. They're a different kind of player here. They're going to do something called the Samson option, which is pretty much the nuke 'em all option. They have the nukes. They have no oversight of their nuclear program. We don't even know how big or small or medium it is. But we know that there is a lot of nerve to use it. In fact, Mark Levin, the not so great one, sort of floating that idea around all the way as far back as late October. So we're in great danger right now, because I think a lot of the world is, because the Israeli government and the people who run that place, they know that the American people are going to wake up even more so to the fact that behind every catastrophic, almost virtually every catastrophic event, assassination in American history, they've been there right at the authorization of it, right at the event as it went to kick off. They're always part of these things, and they're now understanding that we figured out that we are subsidizing, and I think that they're crazy enough to pull something out like this, and then to blame Iran, because that's ultimately what they want to get at. So I think we are in like a DEFCON 1 kind of situation, and what beats me is, why isn't this administration telling anybody the truth about what's happening? And then you have to fall back on the Deagle report. Is this part of just by default to meet the quota by 2025 of half the population of the country? And they're going to disperse these arms. They're going to disperse these weapons. I can already see how this is going to go. Now, there's caches of weapons underneath the governor's mansions, also the state capitol buildings, as I shared with you long ago. over there in Sacramento, that they have Obama stacked caches and stacks of weapons all over the country for this moment. It's the color revolution. They want to use purple. But we're at that point now, and I can certainly feel the tension. I hear the military aircraft nonstop. And they're going to try to do a 9/11 attack on this country, and I feel it very soon. It just dawned on me last night, and it hit me really hard. And that's another thing, too. You don't see Tulsi Gabbard everywhere, anywhere, to be exact. And when she does, it's just, James Comey this, James Comey. I mean, it's nothing. Where is she? And what kind of dangers does she face? And assuming this is the real Donald Trump, he's a much, much more of a subdued man than I recollect from years past. So they might have gotten him already. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you feel the tension in the country? Because with all that said, I feel the country in many, many regards, a lot of different factions, left, right, up and down, which doesn't matter anymore. I feel a lot of us have come together, are coming together, and a lot of people are learning to forgive these ridiculous, so-called differences and the philosophical, contrast between the two, because we have a common enemy now. We have a rogue nation that has taken the American societies and political factions as hostage. And it wasn't until after 9/11, as wrong as it may have been, and a misguided, look at things, as soon as the American people found out who did 9/11 at that point in time, you can't forget just how united we became. And I think we're at that precipice right now, because once we're done with this chapter, we're going to have to fight the AI robots and everything that comes with that now. That's the sequel to this movie. So these are some of the things that are weighing on my mind. And what say you out there? Here's some people that are now speaking. Here we have Mr. Nigel Dyer. And by the way, I do have another announcement to make after the break that I'm going to share with you about somebody. Okay, so Nigel says, Dean, you mentioned them hiding in bunkers. They're safe. What about we people? We are equals in God's eyes. Well, yeah, this is what they do. I mean, Netanyahu was hiding in a bunker when those Scud missiles were falling down on Israel. When was that, like 5 months ago? And anyways, well, and speaking of him, I mean, how about that segment last night where we found out who exactly this guy is or was? I'm going to put that out as a single too. Benjamin Netanyahu is a CIA asset, if not FBI or IRS, right? That's kind of what the information gathering that we discovered last night. It was unbelievable. And then to top it off, he was heavily involved in the makeup company called the Estee Lauder. Yeah, he was a makeup artist. I can't even. I've heard of spies and all that, but this is just next level. Okay, so after that, we're going to move on now. Got that off my chest. Well, speaking of forgiveness and how fitting now. Speaking of forgiveness, before we get back to politics, well, Kanye West has now come out asking for forgiveness and meets with rabbis, asks for blessings. Yeah, I guess everybody wants a little forgiveness. But what's he giving and what's he getting? Well, yes, Kanye wants forgiveness. He meets Rabbi Pinto. Yeah, the Pinto, Rabbi Pinto, who the rapper has now released a press release saying he's doing so in the wake of his song that he just put out not that long ago. I haven't heard it. It's called Heil Hitler. I'm not sure what that's about, but it sounds interesting and fun. Well, the song blames his anti-Semitism on bipolar disorder. So he has bipolar disorder. I would have never guessed it I would have never guessed. He seemed very even to me. Well, in a totally bizarre meeting with Rabbi Yosef Pinto. It's unclear whether Rabbi Santa Maria were there or the others, but the Pinto was. Well, he made countless blatantly anti-Semitic statements, they're saying, including releasing that song, yes, Heil Hitler. And he's apologized for his actions, claiming that it is due to his suffering from the bipolar disorder, which a lot of people, experts who are familiar with that disease, have said, hey, it's coming from the gut. It could be a diet regimen, ailment rather than a, whatever the psychiatrists are trying to tell us. So yes, they met up with the rapper mogul, and since then they tried to bless him. And this is what Kanye's trying to do. Why is he trying to do this now? And apparently, this rabbi, he's also met with LeBron James and many other stars who want forgiveness. And this is the guy to do it. So he is like the forgiveness rabbi. So I guess the other question remains, did they get to Kanye? Is Kanye, is he going to be going to a wall anytime soon? One can only imagine. One can only imagine. With that news, we have a now, as we get back to politics, because I can't get enough of it. Well, Tel Aviv Ted is making his way out into the arena once again, as Ted Cruz is now issuing a dire warning. See, he's not looking for forgiveness. He doesn't need forgiveness. Not yet, but wait till he meets this rabbi. Well, here's something interesting. The devastation continues in the GOP, as now the Tel Aviv Ted is now issuing a dire warning, and here he is on Fox News. And I mean, every time this guy, he opens his mouth, it's just, it's a lie at this point. It's a lie. Here's Tel Aviv Ted on Sean Hannity, I believe, I want to say, and not Neil Cavuto. If that guy's even still around. Devastation.
But number two, look, last night should be a warning sign. It should be a warning sign to Republicans across this country. The left, they're energized, they're angry. Democrats are outraising Republicans right now, 3-1, 4-1. It is dangerous. And I think on our side, they're Republicans, and they're just people who are common sense in the middle, who I fear are feeling happy, are feeling potentially complacent. That is really, really dangerous. The left showed up in big numbers last night, and common sense conservatives did not. If that happens a year from now, we face disaster in the midterms.
Okay. I don't feel as dire as you do. However, it is a cautionary tale always. And I think that you need to examine, you need reflection.
Sean Hannity, we've had enough of you years ago. So there's that one. They just can't figure out why they're having a hard time, why they didn't win. They just cannot seem to just put their, mucky GOP fingers on it. And it took me, 30 seconds to list 5 pillars of why they lost these little pre-elections here. Does anyone have an idea of why they lost? I think we all do. And the only difference between us and like Ted is, well, first of all, we don't get the millions and millions of dollars Ted does. No, we get essed on for telling the truth. That's what we get. But here's why they did not come out in droves, because we have a terrible, terrible relationship with a psychotic thing. In the midst of a ceasefire, this is what's happening now in North Lebanon, which is going to be the next country that the Greater Israel Project is planning on taking. Look at this very brave reporter here, as now she's talking about the truth that you're never going to hear on CNN, as these airstrikes are not just targeting the Muslim bearded men from the desert. No, they're targeting a whole host of variety of people. And it's good to put a face on this, because we need to know the truth, and we need to stomach it as well, so we can get this message out. Here is a very brave woman. Let's see what she has to say. Here it is. Well, that's not it, as you saw. That's certainly not it. Let's try this again, as I'm still learning and quite wet behind the ears and a little nervous around the collar. Here it is.
I'm at the site of an Israeli airstrike yesterday on the village of Aito. That's in Zgharta, a very Christian area in the north of Lebanon. This is a small mountain village, and this house was hit. It was sheltering about 29 displaced people who'd fled from the south and the suburbs of Beirut. The house has been completely flattened. In the trees behind, you can see there are still clothes that have been flung around. Civil defense volunteers are behind me, still sorting through the rubble. They've now removed all the bodies. 23 people were killed in this strike, many of them children. You can still smell the burning on the air, and in the background, there are Israeli jets flying overhead. This really is a complete site of destruction here. All the cars here are on the fire as well. And it seems that nobody would have been able to get out of the strike without severe injury. I'm at the site of an Israeli airstrike yesterday on the village of Aito. That's in Zgharta, a very Christian area.
Thank you very much. I mean, it takes guts. It takes guts to report on these things. It truly does. And yeah, but see, that's why the GOP didn't win. You get that, Ted? You get that, Grandpa Munster? This is why. Because the world is seeing what's been happening for many, many years now. And a lot of people are so sick into their stomach, they probably don't ever want to vote again. Because let me tell you, if voting Democrat after all of this you think is the answer, no, it's part of the problem, because both of these big parties are controlled opposition. Controlled opposition. And so much so now, and I kind of let the cat out of the bag, it's now, guess who's now running for president? Guess who's going to be running for president? I couldn't believe it myself. Here it is. This is, what's her name? Marjorie Greene. That's what it is. Marjorie Greene Taylor is now announcing she's running for president. Who would have saw that coming? Here it is. You have to see it to believe it, and let's hope it's the right one in this case. Marjorie Greene Taylor, there it is telling people she wants to run for president. And I just saw her. Yeah, she's on with Bill Maher. She's making the rounds. She's a third choice, but could be the second and ultimately the first choice people want to run to. But are people really trusting of government anymore after all this? Are people going to want to still be voting? You know, we were told 5 years ago that all the future elections would be fixed. There would be no more Dominion. Well, not only has that not been proven just false, we're still using Dominion machines. Nobody's been arrested. You remember the old hoopla of the watermarks on the ballots of 2020? Nothing happened of that. Somebody should ask, Steve Pachenik, once he's crawling out of his bunker, what he meant by that. Nothing, no arrest. We see the carrot being dangled of John Brennan, James Comey, all these people. What's to come of it? What's to come of it? And I think that the whole crackdown on the NBA is almost like a kind of a balk in a way of saying, see, we're trying to do something. But this is the reason why. And I, for one, would be very weary of voting Republican and Democratic ever again. That I did last time, or maybe I did, but I don't talk about any of that here. But what say you out there? What are your thoughts? What are your feelings? How's your day been? Here it is. Michelle Tamayo says, what are you saying? Trump is dead. No, I'm not saying that. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I've seen multiple Donald Trumps. And to prove my point, we'll have to move studios here. Michelle. I'm sorry. Michelle. I do apologize. To prove my point here, and we're going to now go to this section here. Here's what I'm saying. Look at the following pictures. If I could even find these damn things. Because a lot of people, they'll see a show, they might miss it. But just to prove my point here. Okay, this was the night of the Iranian bombing where he had a televised press conference. This was also the same night of the televised press conference. Do you see a difference there? He could not, I'm not saying he's dead, but I'm saying Joe Biden was. And I'm saying they use CGI. Look at the teeth. Look at the teeth. Same night, same hour. And look at these teeth. And then look at those ears, too, while you have a moment. Yeah, those are a sight to be seen. Jeez. Guy probably can hear things that are being talked about on Mars. Okay, so these are the same, apparently same people. And then we have this guy. Different. Look at those baby nubs. What kind of thumb is that? And look at those ears. There's no markings of any shots. So what I'm essentially what I'm saying is, Michelle, is we're being played on a grand scale here. And I'd be doing a disservice to myself and to everybody if I didn't at least bring awareness to it. Because I would love to be wrong. And if I was wrong, then that's good for everybody. But if I'm right, at least we could be at least prepare for the worst and hope for the best. One of those old lines. So that's what I'm talking about. But thank you for your inquiry. Yeah, he's a sellout and needs to repent. Who? Hopefully me or Trump? No, you're talking about. Okay, thank you for that. Here's another one here. Let me go to Rumble, where we have a lot of people who are opining and piping in. We have Rumble Mania, who's asking, are they Jewish? I don't know. I don't know exactly. But thank you for that. Maddie Lynn says, AKA, yeah, 4 different aliases. John Sullivan. Yes, that's what another thing we found out about Netanyahu. He goes by the name of John Sullivan. And then you realize that John Sullivan is a big-time reporter on Fox News who's always on the Hannity show. He's the guy that coined the phrase that the walls are closing in on the Clintons. And he said that for God knows how many years. And I'm thinking to myself, those must be the most slowest moving walls we've ever seen in our life. The walls are closing in. Yeah. So he's John Sullivan, and then Netanyahu's John Sullivan. So I think the John Sullivan on Hannity and Hannity himself, I think all these people are intelligence assets, each and every one of them. We know that to be the case in Hollywood. You know, I find it always interesting how, these actors just come out and just make a statement about climate change, like right off the bat. Who's that character that played the Aquaman? Who's that actor? Jason Momoa gets the job as Aquaman. About several days later, he's speaking at the UN and telling how they need to do more for climate change. I mean, this is the kind of intelligence syndicate that's surrounding us. And then you can't even discover the differentiation between the CIA and Mossad. It's like, it's like long lost cousins or something of that nature. Okay, here's another one here. We have the end game is their NWO. That's right. Thank you, Hammer Time. And we have the real General Mahadi says that MGT is in the place to be. Okay, yeah, she might be. So, yeah, I mean, that's another thing. How is this going to look? So they're going to run a new party? Are they going to have ballot access? Here's a better question. Do we need a federal government at this point? And if we do, is it possible to shrink it more than it already is? Because, the federal government was never meant to do any of what we're seeing. Now, the other argument to that, and, this is where the cold splash of reality comes in, that if you're not in Africa, mining and guarding and safeguarding some of these countries like the Congo, and having been involved in some of these negotiations, China goes in there. China then goes into these countries in Africa and makes the deals with the warlords, takes over, gets the mineral rights. And then next thing you know, you have a Chinese-dominated world as they were captivating and capturing all of the countries. They captured all the ports around the world, 80% plus. So then, the argument is, well, if you don't, they do. So, and it's a good point, and I don't know how to answer that because it does fly in the face of the philosophical, libertarian argument, if you will, of no nation building and no world policing. So that it's it's complicated, both sides. You know what I'm saying? So here's some other people here. We have Claudine saying double Trump. Yeah, double Trump and double the fun. Okay, we have Patriot Dave says, freak, they're voting. Bullshit. Dave is feeling freaky tonight. Thank you. Misty says, we are being fooled. Yes, but Roger Daltrey said we won't get fooled again. And Trump said, fool me once, fool me twice. That was a classic moment. Won't get fooled again. Yeah, thank you very much. Here we have Lori Andrews says, Dean Ryan, JFK Jr., that's alive, said Trump is gone since 1989. Yeah, is he? And where is JFK Jr., Lori? I've been hearing about JFK Jr. A lot of people thought JFK Jr. was, what's his name? 107? 107, and I assure you he's definitely not that. I assure you. Okay, let's put this one here. And here's another one. Is JFK Jr. really, is it really John Kennedy Jr. or is it really John Onassis? Because someone made a point that he doesn't even look like JFK. And I have to admit, I don't think he looks like JFK either. Nor do I think Barone Trump looks like Melania. And maybe I'm wrong. I mean, he's a Nephilim. Trump's youngest son is like 6'11". My God. And I think he plays for the New York Knicks as a power forward there. Okay, so here's some. I mean, we are on fire here tonight. Yes, Lori. I think you know what I'm talking about. You say, Dean Ryan said, JFK Jr. real one live got swapped by George Onassis, and when he was around 10. And the one that played JFK Jr. and opened up the George magazine. So, what do you mean? So they switched them at birth. Is that what you're saying, Laura? They switched them at birth at 10. So who was the little kid we saw saluting his father at the funeral? Is that the real JFK? It's all so backwards, you know. Because clearly there's something going on. I mean, they talk about this big reveal. But deep down inside, we all know something's. I mean, just look at the Kirk fiasco here. Makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Everything seems very scripted, even to the role of Candace Owens. That could be a fixture of the assets. Just everything about this. We live in like a Truman Show matrix, and it's advancing, accelerating by the day, that just the memories and the thoughts of the 20th century, which many of us now have the burden to keep those stories alive. They're trying to rewrite history, whitewash it. It's getting harder and harder to remember those days. I must share with you that it's very hard. But anyways, we're going to take this quick break. When we get back, I'm going to show you a preview of my outing in Pasadena and Altadena. Altadena was really, really destroyed. A lot of it was destroyed from the Palisades fires. And these homes that you're going to see are some of the original homes from that particular area in California, from that date all the way back to the 1940s and the 50s for the big baby boom. And, they don't make homes like these anymore. So you're going to see that. And plus, it's also where people like Jim Fetzer grew up all the way back when. So you don't want to miss that as you're watching Real Deal Media live here tonight as we try to get back on our footing here. But we'll be back after this quick break. Don't go anywhere.
You like me, you want to get to heaven, but you simply don't want to take your time, let alone wait in line?
That's why I here at Tunnels to Heaven, we're going to get you to your final destination before the revelation, tribulation, and the strangulation. All you got to do is start giving, because forgiveness ain't cheap, it ain't free, and you got to give to forgive. So that's why sign up today. You can find it at a variety of locations, and underneath the synagogues, we got one in Brooklyn, we got one in Alabama, and we got one over there in Seattle, Washington. Get your fix before you get your kicks, and don't fall for any of these tricks. Get your Tunnels to Heaven membership today, because God's waiting, but he ain't gonna pick you up. Hold on, what's that?
What are you saying?
Oh, it's my turn to go in that tunnel. I'll see you guys later, and I'll see you in heaven.
Order your Tunnels to Heaven today. 1-800-TUNNELS. 1-800-TUNNELS.
Behind movie screens, behind the movie scenes, there's Sheila's Lee. She's the one who keeps the dream alive, from the morning to the evening to the end of the night. Oh, it's a brimful of Usher on the 45. It's a brimful of Usher on the 45.
Okay, we are back. We are back. Yes, we are. And yeah, something fell down. God. Anyways, we are back, but we are not back without reason, because tonight is brought to you by the Real Deal Media Night Owls. Yes, visionaries or debonaires, iconic and not ironic, but very true. Yes, you can become a Real Deal Media member tonight, today. Why wait till tomorrow? And go to realdealmedia.tv and join us as we try to understand the world and put a face to chaos while we smash it to smithereens. Become a night owl tonight, or Vito Corleone will find you. That's all I can say. Also, a big thank you to everyone who's contributed to the major fuel, the petrol that makes things go over there at Give Send Go. So go to givesendgo.com/realdealgo. Get there today, tonight, as your contribution does fuel this operation. And, we just don't get promoted. What can I say? It's the story of my life. We just don't get promoted. We don't. No, we don't make the algorithms. We get shadow banned constantly. And I've proven it time and time again. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dean Ryan Still, your cruise director, cruising with you to midnight and beyond. And it's so good to be back, and while we're cruising together. Yes, it is. A few more things at hand here, but we have a Pasadena story, a little preview coming up. And this Saturday, too, I don't have the flyer with me, but Saturday, I will be doing a Real Deal Media weekend update this Saturday night, open to the general, as we kind of look over the stories of the past week. Yes, so that'll be Saturday. You don't want to miss that. About 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss that. Followed by Murder, She Wrote and Matlock, which is a wonderful Saturday night realm of just cinematic classics. Don't want to miss it. Okay, well, here's a few weird things here. Here's a few weird things that I'm going to tell you about. In fact, I'm going to tell you that after. Let me just get to this. So this a few days ago, as I was getting my new technology, this new computer here that I'm so out of form. It's compared to what I was using, but anyways, in the motions of getting this, I was given a tour by a friend of the show, Frankie Elliott, of Altadena, that took a beating from the fires, and as well as Pasadena too. And it was stunning to what I saw and heard. But you're going to see the whole thing this coming Saturday. But here's a little piece of it. And take note of the stylings of the home, how old it is, as LA County as a whole was never meant to carry and withhold the entire poverty of Mexico, just to give you an example in the population boom. So check this out as some real deal travels. Well, it takes us to the scene of the crime.
So these were all businesses and houses right here.
It's all from the Palisades fire, what you're seeing here. That was how many months ago?
The Eaton fire was January 6th.
There you go.
They just rebuilt.
10 months.
And reopened.
Very, very symbolic. Very
This whole
symbolic.
corner's gone here, Dean, on the right. This whole corner. Used to be a bunch of stores.
Oh, look, they're rebuilding Jason and Colleen's apartment building.
So this is Altadena.
This is an apartment.
The area here. A lot of this is very...
As we go further up, you can tell who has the money. Oh, sorry.
Is it gentrified?
Sorry.
Is it gentrified? And who has the money? I haven't...
There's a big house right here.
There's a big house right there.
Here.
And are there plans to rebuild or...
A lot of people are rebuilding. They're trying to encourage rebuilding because a lot of
the Chinese are coming in.
Want to come in and build condos and make Altadena something it never was supposed to be. You can see the hills right above here.
I wonder if people are up to speed that the LA mayor, Karen Bass, who was caught on a hot mic on a phone call, knew about the attacks 2 days beforehand.
I heard.
I've heard the actual footage. It is pretty chilling. Here's some just gone. And how much were these homes? How much was the listings?
A couple million.
So you're looking at pretty small houses, probably some of the original houses of Pasadena.
They're a lot of them are generational. So the families before owned them.
Yeah.
And they've been passed down.
So where Jim Fetzer grew up here in the 1950s as a little, young kid.
See, for sale.
40s.
Some people just can't afford to.
But if you look at the style of these homes, they haven't changed. See, here's one of the CCPs. You're going to see more CCP.
Huge.
Look at these old trees. Some 100-year-old trees here. I'll be damned.
Altadena has so much history and so much of it was lost.
Altadena, in case you don't know, was known for its milk farms. Their milk production back in the days, hence the Altadena Milking Company.
Also citrus.
Also citrus, yes. And this was targeted because this is on the list, the 15-minute cities. Yes, it was 15-minute cities right there. You saw some history in the making here. Let's get back to form here. So yeah, you're going to see the whole, the rest of that too. In fact, where we went right after that was Frankie's apartment complex, a huge place. And we were standing right on it because there's nothing left. And apparently like 20, 22, 25 upwards of that figure of that amount of people that died right there and then. And I asked, why did that happen? And did they not get the proper care services? A lot of these people, their original homeowners, they didn't want to leave their house. They were trying to save their apartment. And some of these folks were found in their complex or homes with a hose still in their hand, burnt to the crisp. And we're just supposed to accept that, no investigation needed, nothing to know about. focus on winning back the next election for the Democrat. I mean, this is how ridiculous it is. Nowhere was it mentioned. Kind of like the hotel fire that I got caught in, as you know, in the underground trafficking film. Next day, next week, no mention of any fire or anything unusual in the papers or anywhere that took place at that hotel. Same thing happens here, and that's how you know it's a fraudulent crime scene perpetrated by the people who are supposed to be protecting others, us, because they're a big part of it. Is they're trying to become the 15-minute cities that make the trillions. So there's that one, and we thank Frankie for that. Thank you. If Frankie's here, yeah, there he is. Okay, so that's how that one is, and but all that aside, too, beautiful city. If you ever have a chance to go to Pasadena, I highly recommend. Highly recommend. Okay, here's some very weird, unusual stories happening now. As people are now preparing, aren't we all, for the holidays? Well, I'm one of them. Get this now. Just when you thought going to a Dodger game was extremely expensive, well, that's not all. As Thanksgiving is just 2 weeks away now? Well, now the Thanksgiving meal is going to be more expensive this year as the number one item that's 25% pricier. Yeah. So you may be having just turkey sandwiches for Thanksgiving after all. That's right. Sorry to tell you. And I can't say I blame you. I had a Hungry Jack's TV dinner just 2 years ago, I think. Well, now Americans they're said to be bracing to cough up more cash this year than previous Thanksgivings in the past. Well, with one staple set to jump in price by 25%, experts are now warning that shoppers will have to search around to score a bargain for a turkey and find one that's perky. Yes, as the price for the holiday bird seems to soar through skyrocketing prices now. Although Donald Trump said that prices are going down, apparently he hasn't read this report about the turkeys. Now pushing the high prices, what's pushing them high up there, you ask? Well, it's the bird flu outbreaks that we're told that can stem from a bird and go to a cow and then right back to a cat. Yes, it doesn't discriminate. It only compensates for what's convenient. As the adversary of the day of the deep state continues to change and fluctuate like the lottery. Well, now the outbreaks that are ravaging the turkey populations have grown significantly, reducing the number of turkeys raised in some of these farms. And if you've ever been around a turkey, they're some of the meanest bastards you'll ever meet, too. You try to be nice to them, they just, peck at you, and some of them are, the wild ones are pretty vicious. Well, now the turkey supply chain is highly stressed due to the highly pathogenic avian influenza that first appeared just 3 years ago. It's the same virus that sparked record high egg prices in various points of recent years. And we're still reeling it in from the devastation of the ostriches over there in Canada. It still makes me just mad. I don't even know an update on that. Well, now the contagious viral disease that's caused the turkey flock in the U.S. to plummet to its smallest size in nearly 4 decades. Yeah. The turkeys are getting smaller now. So now we have munchkin turkeys. That's the kind of turkeys they're now forming into now. Wholesale turkey prices have spiked by 75% since October last year. So overall, the turkey dinner is gone up 25%, but the turkey alone has gone up 75%. I hope you're keeping track at home because, this quiz is going to be hard later. So yeah, it's gone up, climbing from 94 cents per pound to a extremely high cost of $1.71 per pound. And how much do turkeys usually weigh? I'm trying to think of the last time I weighed one, but what, 20 pounds, 20, 30? Well, the analysts who are really familiar with the turkeys said they projected the average retail cost of the bird will reach roughly $2 per pound just in a matter of days from now for this Thanksgiving season, which is already, like we said earlier, 25% higher. So as a result, a typical 15-pound turkey could run shoppers about $31. So I was close. I said 20. So here's some turkey tips. Not that I feel obligated to tell you, but I'm quite curious. Well, they said if you do choose to cook a turkey this year, start at a higher temperature to crisp the skin because these are awfully small turkeys. and start from there. And don't leave a raw turkey out at the room temperature because, again, we stress just how miniature these turkeys truly are. And there's your turkey tips, your real deal turkey tips for your holiday season. Wow. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Well, where does the middle class sit in all this? Well, if you're like me, you monitor financials and you dream of a day you'll actually have extremely rich financials. Well, now this is coming out of Bloomberg, as now they say the Jenga tower that is the U.S. economy is now teetering. It's teetering, teething, and titting, as well as the middle class pulls back its spending like never before. Oh, that's true. That's true. A lot of people are dropping like flies too. I get word of that. A lot of the middle class, that is, and a lot of people are losing their jobs. We have 30,000 jobs lost in Amazon, roughly around just lower than that figure at UPS, FedEx, the service sector. You just pick an industry, and I'll tell you. Well, now get this now as the surprising resilience of the U.S. economy this year is making an underlying weakness among the low and income households a reality. Wow. Well, the dichotomy between the haves and the have-nots has never been more prolific than it is today, and it certainly feels that way. And how appropriate, since they're trying to really recreate the medieval times once again and make us all serfs. Yes, or court jesters, depending. Well, the dichotomy is real, but the economic strain is now bleeding into many different sectors, as we know. From the lowest earners to the middle class, creating an even starker divide than ever before, with some economists saying it makes the economy more susceptible to a downturn. And that's all it takes to be an economist. You just say words like that, stress it, and then you're automatically an expert. Now, here's just to tell you what I'm talking about and trying to get to the bottom of it. Now, the richest 10% of households are fueling nearly half of the total U.S. spending. Think about that for a minute. So for a nation of 350,000 or 350 million, but for the sake of math, let's just say 300 million. And 10% of that, which would be 30 million. So 30 million people in the United States are responsible for half of the total U.S. spending that's happening in the fourth quarter right now. So the Christmas presents, you name it, they're responsible for it. And that's why you have the Zolar Mamdani and the dimwit mayor of Chicago, who is not Mayor Stankfoot. I miss her, but the new one. That's why they're promoting this nationalizing of grocery stores. They're promoting the basic universal income, a pipe dream that we thought Andrew Yang, former Democratic presidential candidate, was just pulling out of his yang. Well, it was a introduction to our lexicon, our palates, so we would accept the possibilities of when it was actually going to come. So here we are. And that is alarming. That is alarming. That is a cataclysmic cliff we're about to jump off. And not to mention what I was sharing the other day, all these people getting laid off. We're not talking about just little warehouse workers. We're not talking about little chauffeurs, short cooks or short turkeys in this case. No, we're talking about people that are making the $70, $80, $90, $100,000 a year. Just people with degrees and all that. The business class. When their loan payments for their mortgage that they took out when they got this, cush job, now that the job's no more, they're going to be defaulting on payments like no other, just no one's business starting next year. And Mike brought that point to me, and it just, that was nauseating to hear. But yeah, so 10% of the households, let me get back on track here. Thanks to the stock market surge that has boosted wealth and turned the propelled economic output this year, they kept us afloat. Meanwhile, the lower income families are pulling back in the face of tight budgets, yet still high living cost and a raft of corporate layoffs make living much harder than it is dying in some cases. Well, just for example, executives at companies over there like Chipotle, Mexican Grill, you guys have been there. Wonderful. Sounds great right now. Hilton Worldwide Holdings, Ethan Allen Interiors, Well, companies like that have cited the trend in recent earnings calls, and Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, the buck stops with him there, said officials are carefully watching signs of the drifting economy after the central bank lowered its interest rates last week, finally. Yeah, and they decide the booms and busts, not us, right? Well, here's a quote from a economist from a unknown paper. He says the following, that I feel like our economy today resembles a top-heavy Jenga tower. You see, it doesn't take much to be an economist these days. I could have said that. Yes, the Jenga tower. We're all familiar with that one. So there it is right now. It is becoming the haves and the has-nots. It really, truly is. The question is anyone out there, have you done your Christmas shopping? Do you plan on doing Christmas shopping? Or are we just haves and have-nots? Or are we just going to be making something from craft for Christmas presents, I must ask? Here's another one. Here we have Susan Stevens. Thank you for being here. She says the following. She says it's more than 40 to 45% are on food stamps that stopped. They'll be lucky to have mac and cheese for turkey dinner. Yeah. Might be tofurkeys this year, right, Susan? Yeah, 40 to 45 million. And there's so many mixed messages that the EBT, the food cards are now back in play, then they're not. And then it seems like there's a political football that's playing with people's lives. And if the true concern and the true effort is to weed out whether it's these terrorists or these migrants who are sucking off the food assistance program, well, that should be mentioned. It shouldn't be left to, the folklore storyteller people, all of us, to have to get that message out to a very shadow band skewed demographic of societies here. That should be coming from the top down. But if it's not the case, and the case really is to meet the Deagle quota of the 2025 predictions, well, then you don't even have to tell us that, because, we're now accepting that as the alternative default of where we're going here, the depopulation model, because it feels that way. The rationing of food is real. The rationing of healthcare is real. Ask England. Yeah. You have a massive head wound in England. You're just bleeding everywhere. They're going to make you wait in the waiting room for, like a day and a half. And when you get there in the NHS, you're met with what you would perceive as a doctor from India, but is really just a medical student from India. And we're not even sure if they're even in medical school. I mean, this is the kind of subpar care that's now underway, as the replacement theory is now a reality of many sorts. And Misty says she already finished her Christmas shopping. Okay, now we understand. Thank you, and I got you something too, but I'm not telling you. Okay, Nigel Dyer says, Dean, do you think that the blackouts they have been warning us will happen? No. You would have asked me 4 years ago. No, I would have said. But however, it feels like a solar flare is about to hit us. You have Tom Hanman and others that are now like spokespersons for these solar flare companies that are going to help you and protect you. So they know something's happening. They know that the polar shift is underway. They know that global warming is a scam, and it's really about global cooling. But they're artificially melting the Arctic. They're melting the ice caps because, well, for one, whoever controls the trade routes up north, the North Pole area by Greenland, it's much more lucrative than the Panama Canal, tenfold. So we found that out. Okay, let me go to Rumble here. Okay, we have Aussie Girl says, find local farmers. I couldn't agree more. Know your butcher, that old saying. Know your butcher. Look, you could put your head up a cow's rear end to see what kind of meat you're getting, or you could just take a butcher's word for it. That old saying too. If you know where that's from, then consider yourself special. We have Rebel Mama who says the whole Western world has turned into Mexico. Yeah, well, hopefully not Ensenada and maybe Mexico City, which is pretty. You know what's funny about Mexico is this. Okay, so I know what you mean by that, Marnie, and I think that's a great example because Mexico City or Mexico in general is a perfect example of the haves and have-nots. So Mexico has the highest millionaires per capita in Mexico City. Very rich and beautiful destinations, beautiful hotels. They have all these it's called the Blanco hotels everywhere on the sand. Okay, they have all that stuff, and then they have the poor of the poor. So there's no gray, there's no middle class, and they're poor of the poor, so they don't have to face a true revolution in that country that's been conquered by the Spaniards. So the original indigenous, short, darker complexion of Mexicans are the poor of the poor. They get thrown into the United States, free passage, and that's kind of been the thing and understanding for quite some time. And then when they come here, they break up the unions. They break up the unions, the social welfare, the corporate welfare, and they just send money back home, and that's how it's always been. And Ronald Reagan gave the big amnesty award to all of the migrants from 1986. Just let them all in. It was millions. And it's a complicated thing to the point of, how do you send somebody home who is probably illegal but was born here, doesn't know anyone back there? Or how do you send the father home who's the breadwinner of his family here? It's a very intertwined, confusing thing. And you have to approach it with a heavy heart, but then at the same time, you have to approach it with knowing that we have military-age killers that got in through the borders in the past couple of years. So you almost have to be kind of bipolar about it. You have to be angry about it and then very emotional at the same time. It's just... I'm sweating thinking about it. Okay, so here's another one. Yes, Rumble Mania. Yeah, Deagle. We have 2 more months to get through this. If we can just survive these 2 months, we can beat Deagle's prediction. That's all we have to do because a lot of people are going. Okay, on that note, let me get to this here, and let me just say the following here is, we don't have our sad pianos. Anyways, I'm going to end it there, but I do want to share something. I share this with the members, but to share it globally now is there's been a lot of strange, weird anomalies happening with Real Deal Media as of late, and not in the most positive ways. I was just made aware a couple of days ago. Before I got mixed up in doing this comeback, that one of our longtime viewers and longtime members, Georgie Brown has passed away. We've lost another longtime family friend of the show and all of you out there, Georgie Brown of Quebec, Canada, and just to share some of her sentiment and her times with us and our conversations and what have you. Georgie discovered me in late 2020 when finding any information about what was happening around her, especially being in Quebec, Canada, which was almost, if not worse, almost as bad, if not worse, as New Zealand during that time. It was a very scary time and frightening time. And when you're landlocked and you can't find any news locally about what's happening in your own country, you tend to look out more. And there really wasn't anybody covering what was happening in Canada or, England for that fact, and Australia. And I pride myself as being one of those people that was one of the first. And I'm glad I did because it brought a ray of hope, of light to people like Georgie, who discovered Real Deal Media and was one of our first members we ever had in 2020. Sadly, 2 years ago, just roughly about 2 years ago, she messaged me, and many of you probably know Georgie out there. And she messaged me and said she had to leave. She couldn't be a member anymore, and because she was fighting cancer. And the cancer regulations is so strict in Canada because their first remedy for everything now is the euthanasia, literally. And we see that happening more and more, and it's coming into the States even more. Instead, she just had to put her finances and focuses on that. I said, Georgie, don't worry about it. You stay with us. You stay around positive people, and we'll help you beat this. And, she fought hard and as long as she could, and I'm still getting more details about it, but it's sad to see that we lost another close person to the Real Deal Media journey here. So just wanted to share that with all of you. And you watch the old shows, you'll see Georgie's live chats, and she really enjoyed and got some enjoyment being around the show, but being around all of you too. And I think that's one of the rare things you see around with other shows, but a very special, unique thing you see here is what a close-knit community we are. Whether you're members or not members, it doesn't matter, because a lot of us been together now for quite a long time, and it means a lot to a lot of people who are dealing with things like Georgie did. So she will be missed, and Georgie Brown of Canada, rest in peace. So on that note, yeah, we've lost a lot of people, yeah. And it's an eerie feeling when you think about the total. I mean, viewers alone, eight people have succumbed to some kind of illness or tragic accident or overdose, and people I've worked with too. So, anyways, all right. With that said, I'll be back Saturday night. I will be here for the Real Deal Weekend Update, and then you'll see the rest of the wonderful report we put together. So on that note, for all of us here at Real Deal Media and RDM Live here, I'm Dean Ryan, saying thank you for sharing a bit of your night, and thank you for sharing a bit of your life with not just me, but from people, with people all around the world, because it means something to them, although you may not know. But each and every one of us here has a special quality that makes other people just want to live a little longer, even if we're casting no shadows. Don't you see it? So, good night, everybody.
Trust you understand what's in his hands. Walks alone in open road, surviving if you can. Oh no, going through the weight of all the words I try to say. Chase you all the places that you never wish to stay. Now I'm thrown away the wrong words you try to say. Now she faced the sun, you cast no shadow. Now she faced the sun, you cast no shadow. As it took my soul, the stories behind. for the weight of all the words he tried to say. Chained to all the places that he never wished to stay. Bound for the weight of all the words he tried to say. As he faced the sun, he cast no shadow. As he faced the sun, he cast no shadow. As he faced the sun,